So I don't know about you, but I get my best ideas when I'm not at my desk. As a matter of fact, I get my best ideas when I'm out on a run. But the problem is, my memory is absolutely terrible. I can't remember a thing. But research shows that we actually forget 50% of new information that comes in within 1 hour if we don't capture it somewhere. And if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, that could be millions in lost opportunities. A few months ago, I had this crazy content system. I had post-it notes. I had things in Google Drive, Google Docs, spreadsheets, my phone, my brain, all these different places, and nothing was kind of cohesively in one place. And that was because I kept coming up with ideas, and I would be out somewhere and I would just put them somewhere, but I couldn't get them all in one place. So I knew I needed to create a system that I could bring all this stuff together, and I use an AI system that's an AI agent system that actually captures the idea through a single interface, a chat interface actually, and takes that idea and helps you form the idea and then puts it into Notion for you automatically. And this has been an absolute game changer for me, that I am able to capture so many ideas. I probably got something like 3 months of content ideas out there. And because of this system, I am going to crush it on the content game, because I no longer need to worry about where all my content is. And when I have an idea, when I'm out on a run or somewhere remote, I can just capture it. So I'm going to walk you through how this system works step by step, and you can build it on your own, and hopefully you love it. All the assets for this are in the description of this video, so feel free to grab them. All right. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and kind of take a macro view on how this is set up. And then later on, I'll take you through step by step how to set this up. So the first thing you need is you need a Telegram app, and you need a bot to be created. So we'll walk through that step by step in a little bit. Number 2 is you're going to need the OpenAI API credentials, or you'll need some kind of large language model credentials. This I will not walk through. There's a ton of videos on this, so you can figure that out. And then lastly, a Notion account with the provided template. So we will walk through how the Notion template is set up and how we are connected to that through this workflow. So the first thing we start with is a Telegram trigger. So basically what this is doing is this is intercepting the message from Telegram. And once the message comes in, there's a switch that I have set up here. And so the switch's job is to basically determine, is this text or is this audio? If it turns out it's audio, it will take the bottom path. If it's text, it will go directly to the AI agent. The bottom path basically gets the file here from Telegram, so it downloads it, prepares it, sends it to this OpenAI transcribe node. So this is just basically gets the file and transcribes it and creates it into text. Then once it's created to text, we set it as this JSON, we set it as this message.txt field that then gets sent to the AI model here. So I won't go through this in detail now. We'll do this a little bit later in this video, but this is the prompt that basically is designed to interact with the users and go back and forth, determine which platform it's supposed to be on, what are the scores for impact, effort, and relevance, which is just a scoring mechanism I use for my content. And, coming up with a few guidelines down here at the bottom, as well as some memory instructions. Speaking of memory, there is a window buffer memory here, and I have it set to 10. So that's important because I want this set up to where it will be able to interface several times on an idea. So you can go back and forth with the AI agent to help develop the idea and hone it in. And then once you are developed and happy with it, you're able to finalize it, which is a key feature of this actually, is that the user actually has to tell the agent that it is finalized. And once the agent sees that it's finalized, this is instruction number 6 here, they can say finalize, ready, complete, or ask to save to Notion or create task. This is what is the trigger to move it on to the next part of the flow. But before that, there are some prerequisites. We need to make sure we understand platform, impact, effort, and relevance, because those are required down the line. So if the person didn't answer that, then it doesn't move on to the next step. So so it's constantly checking if it's finalized, if it's received that through this checking node here. It will check it and then it will pass it on to the next stage if it is finalized. If not, it just continuously responds to the user. So let's assume it's finalized at this point. Now it's going to go to this next AI agent, and this agent's job is basically to extract the details as best as possible and get it into a more data-centric format that can be used for Notion. So you can see, we'll go through this in detail later, but this is the scoring mechanism. It needs to make sure it's there. What platform is it on? And then an example JSON of what it's needed down the line to import it into a Notion task. So then we have a code node here, and its job is to extract the information from the AI agent and then move it to the next stage. And there's also some error handling in there. Next, we have edit fields, and this is a really important one as it relates to the way that I set this up, which is it is looking for the last name here, and it's the last name from the Telegram account. And that's only because I only have 2 users using this, and that's how it's set up. So it basically is figuring out what's the last name, and then it chooses the path. Basically, who's the owner of this task, who's the one speaking to the Telegram bot. So that's the way I chose to do it. If you had, 10, 15 users, that would be a little bit of a crazy workflow to set up all of that. There would be other ways that you can accomplish that, but this is the way that I did it. Just it was the quickest way without using some kind of table or database or something like that. So this path goes down and it's set up to where it can set up the idea, it can input the description, what platform is it in, so on and so forth. And then lastly, it ends up with a success confirmation. When that happens, it comes back and it has the details of the idea here, the title, the description, the status, and it says it's been put in the backlog ready for development. So this is just what it sends back into the Telegram message to the user, just confirming that it has been put into the Notion as a task. So that's the high level how it's set up. We'll go into detail on how to set up a bot next, and then after that I will talk about how to connect it to Notion, and we will take everything step by step. So now what you're going to want to do is download Telegram, because we're going to set up our Telegram bot. So this is how the setup instructions for that. Once you set up your account, it's pretty simple. You can add a bot called the bot father, and the way you do that is you come up here, you go to contacts, you type in bot father, and there is one called @botfather, and you can go ahead and add that contact, and then you can immediately type /help. When you do that, it will tell you how to do different commands and things. So what you're going to want to do first is type in new bot. Okay. So once you do that, it's going to say, how are you going to call it? Please choose a name for your bot. Now, one thing you have to do is you need to give it a name, and it has to end with the word bot. So what we're going to do here is botified bot, call it V2 bot. So we'll do that. Now let's choose a username for your bot. It must end in bot. Oh, that's the same thing. So we'll do the same thing. V2 bot. All right. So congratulations on your new bot. You will find it at t.me and then the name of it. So here we can use this token. We'll use this in the step when we set up Telegram. This is basically the connection to the bot. So that way, whenever you are sending messages to the bot, as we had over here, this is the idea one. Once you're sending messages to it, it will then pick it up. So, and then you can add it as a contact as well. So what you can do here is you can click your bot's name, and then it comes up here, and this is the username @botified_bot v2 bot. So you can copy that to the clipboard. You can come over here, new contact, add it. It should come up here on the list. There it is. We're going to go ahead and add that contact, and then we'll be able to interact with the botified bot. So now what you can do is you can click your bot's name here, and then you can hit start. And once you start /start, that is how you can start interacting with the bot now. So I'll just say hello, and the bot can do nothing now because we don't have it connected to N8N, but we will use this information and the API key in the next step to set up the workflow and get it connected to the bot. So now I think it's a good idea for us to jump into Notion so I can walk through what we are inputting into and what this template looks like. So basically we have these fields here, and there's a ton of different ones. We run these as sprints. So this is a sprint number. We have an owner field here, and then we have a partner with field here. And now a lot of this stuff is filled out later after the fact And the idea of this whole workflow is to get everything in the system as soon as possible. So that way we can put it in a structured way and everyone's putting it in the same way. And then we can come in here and work on it more here within Notion and kind of set some of the things. So here's some of the effort, impact, and relevance. This is actually doing a scoring mechanism here where we have a formula that scoring and between these three different fields here. We have something around ROI and a whole bunch of different properties in here that you can use, and you don't need to use them all, but this is the kind of start of it. There's a title here, and those are the main things. So this is the database fields that is being used by this bot, and we have it set up just to do about 5 or 6 of these fields. However, if you could imagine, if you prompted it a little further, you could probably fill out most of this if you really wanted to build this out even further, but this should be a really good start for most people. All right, now we're going to build this workflow from scratch, step by step, and I'll take you through every step along the way. If you get stuck or anything, or you want to skip ahead to other nodes, I'm going to go one by one. Feel free. I'll have all of the nodes listed as chapters in this video in the description. So let's rock and roll. So the first thing we want to do is we want to add a Telegram trigger node. So here we're going to do on message. So if you haven't set up your Telegram account before, and we went and set up that bot, and you haven't done that before, we have to go and do that. So the way this works is we have to go here, and you're going to choose create new credential. So if you recall earlier, we had our bot here. This is our credential. So just click it one time, it adds it to the clipboard. Then you can paste it in here, and then it has the api.telegram.org already set up for you, and you can save it. So hopefully we got connection tested successfully. We're all good. So we have our Telegram account set up now, and that's pretty much all we need to do at this stage here. So let's go ahead and test out our bot to ensure it works. So I've been doing a little bit of testing here behind the scenes, but we're just going to say hello, and let's execute this workflow. And we got a green check mark. That means that it worked, and it says hello. So our bot is now successfully connected to the workflow. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to start to build out other nodes. And if you recall, in the example we did, we had a switch node. So remember, it switches off from text only to voice. So this is a feature. If you want to add it, you can. You don't have to. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a switch node. So a switch node basically just routes things in different directions if you want different things to happen. So on this switch node, and I like to have the habit of, kind of typing these things out and giving them names that you can recall and remember. So audio text switch. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add in this value here. So JSON message voice file ID. So what this is saying is the voice file ID, and you go here and you say that record is empty. So even in this case, there is no voice file ID. So it's empty. So this would end up routing it to the output of is text. So this will go down the text route. So then we're going to do the same exact value here. This time, you guessed it, is not empty. So it's the opposite of that. And we're going to say is voice. All right. So that's it. That's all we need to do here. So we're basically just creating two paths here, is text and is voice. Okay. So we're going to work on the is text one first because it's the most straightforward. It goes directly to the AI agent. So you click on this plus sign, you go to AI agent, and we'll go over this AI agent a little bit more in detail in a minute once we do the voice one. But all I want to do here first is I want to click this here. So this is connected to a chat trigger node. Even though it is a chat node, it is a Telegram one. So the chat trigger node is just N8N's built-in trigger node. And this is not what that is. So we're going to define it below. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go back. We're going to execute this step here. So that way we can get the next one. I like to do it step by step to make sure it's working. Okay. And we're going to put the user prompt just as whatever the text is here. So we're going to drag that over there, and it's json.message.text. So that's something we're going to remember for the audio one because we have to put in something specific to account for it. So here we're going to add an option. and we're going to do system message. For now, I'm just going to paste in the system message. We'll go over this in detail in a moment once we do the audio one, but for now, I'm just going to put it in there, and we're going to call this the idea development agent. So now let's leave that as is. And we're going to go over to the voice one. So for the voice one, the first thing we need to do, we got to do another Telegram node, and this is going to be get a file. So basically what happens here is we send the voice message in, and then we've got to download that as a file, and then that way we can set it up and get it transcribed. So let's go ahead and send in a voice message this time, and then we'll be able to download it as a file. So I'm going to go ahead and hold this down. This is a test. This is best practice to kind of do it step by step here and test each node as you go. That's what I highly recommend, even if you're walking through it step by step with somebody, like me on YouTube. So what I wanted to do was get it here, and it went here. So here's what's going to happen. On this piece here, we have, it said it failed, but I don't believe it did. So what we have to do on this one is get a file, and here we're going to put in the file ID of this. Okay, so let's execute that, and there it is. So this is the file ID, and it has been downloaded. All right, so now once it's been downloaded, it's time to transcribe it. So we could type in transcribe, OpenAI, and we're going to do transcribe a recording here, audio actions and transcribe a recording. So this is relatively straightforward. You'll need to set up your OpenAI credentials if you haven't already. I won't do that step by step on here. There's like a million videos on how to do that, so feel free to look for one. You're going to do resource audio. You're going to do operation, transcribe a recording, and then data. So the reason we use data here is because it's a binary that's sitting there, that thing that we just downloaded, and then it's going to be looking for data. So it's basically going to upload data to this large language model to have it transcribed. So we execute the step, and there you go. There is the audio that has been transcribed to text. This is a test. All right. Now, if you recall earlier, I was talking about this json.message.text. I said I would come back to this. Now, if we were just to hook this up from here to there, we would end up in a scenario where json.message.text does not exist, right? So what does exist is the transcription that we did. So if we did this, it's json.text, right? And that's not what we need here. We need json.message.text. So one of the things that you can do here is you can do what's called a set node, okay? So in this node, we're going to say message.text is what we want, right? So we want json.message.text, and it is equal to this json.text. So remember, we can't do json.text. We need json.message.text. So this transforms this variable to be rewritten as this one. So if I execute that step, now I have json.message.text. So now I can hook this up to the AI agent, and json.message.text will be a variable that will work even if it is a voice. See how it's json.message.text is the same. So if it's text or voice, it will now be the same. So now we've completed all of these, and just for fun, let's execute this step. We have to add a chat model. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Whoops, down here. So here you want to add a chat model. So you add whatever model you want, but I will use OpenAI here, and you can go here, and I use 4.0, the GPT-4.0. You can use whatever you want. You can test whatever you want, but this is just what I use. And sampling temperature I set to 0.7. This seems to work well for this scenario so far. Now, if we execute this, it should actually output something. Okay, there you go. All right, so far so good. So we need to actually add one more thing to this AI agent, and that is memory. We're going to add simple memory. So you click the memory plus thing, and this is simple memory. So the reason why we're going to add memory is because if you think about what's happening here, the user is interacting with this Telegram agent, and it's talking back and forth and back and forth. So we wanted to have a memory to be able to have a relatively good conversation and remember the context of the last thing that were said. So the way we're going to set this up is for session ID, we're going to say define below, and the key we're going to use is the chat ID from Telegram. So you're going to go over to your Telegram trigger here, and you're going to find the chat ID. So that is this one here, and we're going to put that in as the key. So that is going to always remember that chat ID as it comes back and forth. And for my use case, I set this to 10. So it's going to remember up to 10 past interactions with the user. So if you foresee yourself only having a few interactions with this, maybe put 3 or 4. If you foresee yourself having many interactions in developing the idea, then set it to a higher number, something like 10. I wouldn't go much more than that. So that is now all set. So there should be something here that is going to have memory now, and it's going to be able to remember the conversations that are going on. Okay, so just to recap, we've done the first half of the workflow, which is setting up the Telegram trigger. We set a switch here. One goes to text, one goes down through an audio path. And once it goes there, it hooks up to an AI agent node, which is using OpenAI, and it's using simple memory. So everything is good to go here. So we're going to move on to the next stage, and we're going to add something in called an if node. Okay, so we'll add that in. So what we're looking for here is if the idea is finalized. So that's what we're looking for here. So I'm going to add that in. So check if idea is finalized. So that's what we're going to call this one. So basically output here, JSON.output, which in this case, thanks for letting me know if you have any ideas, So what this is looking for is if it is saying something that contains the value, something like this. Great, I'll save the developed idea to your sprint board. So it's looking for this output here. And what happens here, so let's execute this. It shouldn't really move on. Yeah, so it's on the false branch, right? Because it doesn't have anything about that. So should it have something about that, then it would actually, move on to the next stage. Otherwise, if it's false, what we need to do is we need to add another Telegram trigger, not trigger, but a Telegram node. And this Telegram node is just a send message node, so this is the node that's going to be interacting with the person that is on the other side doing the chatting. So we're going to do send a text message. So make sure your Telegram account is chosen. The resource is message. Your operation is send message. Now here's where you're going to get your chat ID. You're going to put that in there again. So where is that? Telegram trigger. So we're going to do our chat ID, but knows which chat to send it to. All right. The text is going to be coming from the idea development agent, and it's this output here. So we want this output of the idea development agent, the agent we just added in there, to be sending the information back. And one of the things we're going to do is add field here, and you can go to parse mode and set that as HTML. So that will send messages back in a proper way that Telegram can send it out and parse it properly for the user. Let's execute the step. Everything worked. So we had a successful response over here. So now that we've done that, and if you take a look here, thank you for testing. If you have an idea, this message was sent automatically N8N. We can remove that message sent automatically. So what you can do here is under this section here, there's a part here that says reply markup none, and then you can add an option. This is append N8N attribution. Choose that and then just turn it off, and then that will not say that anymore. So that's just food for thought on that one. Okay, so that is done. So now this is all set up. So this is the idea development agent. You don't have to do anything else from here. This is the one that is developing the idea. The next half of this workflow is basically set up to where it's going to extract the details and parse it out, and then it's going to go ahead and build the idea into the Notion database. So what we need to add next is another AI agent node. So we're going to add the AI agent node here. And this agent node's job is to go through and basically extract the details and put it in a structured format. Now, I'm going to paste the system message in this one as well. And then we're going to take a step back and go through each system message so you can see how they interact together, because I think that's going to be important. So first thing on this AI agent, let's name it. So this is extract details for Notion. Now in this one, we're going to say define below, and then we just want the JSON output. And then we're going to go down here, add an option and a system message. The system message needs to be set as an expression because it does have some expressions in it. And I'll go ahead and paste in what I have here, and we will go over that in just a moment. So before we move on, we're going to take a step back and go through in detail this prompt for the idea development agent. So let's start here. So it says, you are an expert idea development assistant that helps users refine and develop their ideas through thoughtful conversation. Your role, help users explore, develop, and refine their initial ideas. Ask probing questions to flesh out concepts. Suggest improvements, potential challenges, and opportunities. Guide users through structured thinking about their ideas and keep conversations focused and productive. So the reason I did this part of the prompt was that I wanted this bot to be able to interact with me and keep probing and pushing questions. Now, this will be set up, if you left it at that, it would just indefinitely ask you questions, probably. It would never finalize anything. So I had to define what the conversation flow looks like. So underneath that, you can take a look at it. When a user shares an initial idea, acknowledge it and ask clarifying questions. Help them think through target audience, problem being solved, key features, potential challenges. So these are some 4 things that are important to the way that I set up the content and think about the content is like who's the target audience, what's the problem being solved. If you're a content creator, you probably have a similar kind of thinking about this. What are the key features of this content and what are the potential challenges? So the next one is continue the back and forth dialogue until the idea is well developed. Now here's where we have some more specifics here about this. Make sure you capture which platform the idea is designed for. For options, the options are LinkedIn, YouTube, Threads, website, Reddit, Medium, TikTok, Instagram, and or Facebook, or all would trigger listing them all in the array. So you'll see this in the next one where we ask the agent to put multiples in an array. So that way they can be input into Notion as a multi-select. Number 5, you must also ask the user what they believe the impact, effort, and relevance scores are 1 through 5. When the user says the idea is finalized, so this number 6 is super important. When the user says the idea is finalized, ready, complete, or asked to save to Notion or create task, first check to ensure we have answers to these 4 questions. First one is platform. So these are kind of like the requirements to have a complete input into Notion. Platform, impact, effort, and relevance. Once we have the 4 answers, you can respond with great, I'll save the develop idea to your sprint board. So this is the response that if you saw the if statement before, that triggers us to go down that path. So this is very, very key point in the prompting here. So it's asking you to respond with something very specific. You could make that say anything as long as your if statement lines up with it, you're fine. Guidelines, be encouraging and constructive. Ask one focused question at a time. Build on previous conversation context. Help identify gaps or areas needing more thought. Keep responses concise but helpful. Remember details from the conversation history. Capture the platform, impact, effort, and relevance. So I also reiterated this. Remember the user's name, preferences, and previous ideas discussed in this session. So we capture the name and stuff later on, but this is just another detail just to help the agent along. So that's the idea development agent. Now, once it goes down this path and it's been finalized, it now hits this agent. Let's look at the prompt for this one so we can go understand what's happening behind the scenes here. So you are a data extraction assistant. Your job is to analyze the conversation history and extract the key details of the developed idea to create a structured summary. So here's your task. Analyze the conversation history and extract one clear, concise title for the idea. Maximum 50 characters. So we're keeping this limited because of the limitations on the titles in Notion, and I wanted to keep those very short for the sprints and stuff. So give some specific instructions there. Number 2, a comprehensive description that captures the essence, key features, target audience, and any important details discussed. So it's really just kind of summarizing a description here. Number 3, the platforms the user wants to post on. Here's a really important key point here. So pay attention to this. Return as an array. Options are LinkedIn, YouTube, Threads, website, Reddit, Medium, TikTok, Instagram, and or Facebook. So then I give specific examples of how to kind of format the array. So they're in the brackets here. We have commas. User can request to list all platforms, and in this case, you would list them all in the array. Number 4, impact score 1 to 5, effort score 1 to 5, relevant score 1 to 5. User first and last name derived from the Telegram chat is number 7. Then I have an output format. Respond only with a JSON object in this exact format. Title, brief description of the title of the idea. Description, detailed description including key features, target audience, and important details from the conversation. Platform, so I have it, set up as an array separated with the comma. Impact 4, effort 3, relevance 5, and then owner Mark Smith. So this is just an example. Lastly, guidelines. Title should be clear and actionable. Description should be comprehensive but well organized. Include key insights and refinements from the conversation. Make it suitable for a sprint backlog item. Impact, effort, and relevance scores will always be a number between 1 and 5. If the user gives a 7 or something, there would be some clarification on that, and it wouldn't allow it to go through. So there's some helpful information. Here's the user's first name and last name from the Telegram chat. So this is just helpful information for the next upcoming steps. Now that that's set up, we have a couple more things to add. So first off, let's add a chat model on here. I think that's going to be important, right? So let's do that real quick. So we're going to go OpenAI chat model. We'll just use the 4.0 just like we did on the other one. No need for memory on this one. You can leave the memory out of it. Just do a chat model on here. It doesn't need memory because at this point, the goal is to just get it into Notion. You assume that there's no more chat happening here. here. So no need for memory. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a code node. Now in this code node, you do it as JavaScript and run once for all items. You can leave that as is. And it gives kind of an example in here. I'm going to paste in the code from the example I had before, but I am not a developer, but there is a video that you can watch that I'll link here above that you can actually learn how to vibe code things like this or this entire workflow using Claude and setting up projects. It's a really cool setup. You can basically crank out workflows in like 30 seconds. So check out that video. And, it's kind of what helped me vibe code this particular JavaScript here, which kind of helps us in the next steps and helps this information out. So now that we've had this code node here, we're going to go ahead and let me execute this step so we can start to move through the process here. So now that that's been executed, let me see if I need to execute this one or not. And then let's execute the code node. Looks like it went successfully there. So now we're going to do a edit fields node next. So another set node or edit fields node. And basically this is the one that's going to give us the last name. So this is going to be used to set the owner in Notion. So here we're going to say, we're going to call this one last name. The value, it's going to be a string and the value is going to be, let's see, I may need to execute some nodes here. Oh, you know what? We never said it was finalized technically. So it's still going down this path, which is why it's not coming up here. So let's come over here and let's say this is Finalize. Let's see if this will actually work. I'm not sure if it will or not. Let's execute the whole workflow. There you go. I went down here. Oh, it's going to ask me for some questions here. We haven't gone through idea development process. So see, it's starting to work. So let's actually do a real idea. So let's do a YouTube video on how to make arts and crafts from Play-Doh. I think that's how you spell it. I have a little one, so that's kind of top of mind right these days. So let's run that. Let's go ahead and execute the workflow. We should get a response back. There you go. So it's asking for target audience, key features. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of fast track this. So target audience is toddlers who love playing with Play-Doh. Key features of video will be how to make dinosaurs. All right. And then we're going to say, I'm going to skip down and say impact 4, effort 3, relevance 5. Let's do that. Let's run the workflow again. Should respond back here in a second. All right. So I'm just going to say this is for platform YouTube. Let's finalize. Let's do 2. YouTube and Instagram. Let's finalize this. Okay, so we're trying to get it to the finalized stage so we can run that side of the workflow. Run it. There you go. Now it's starting to go down this path, which is great. Exactly what we want. It's going through the code. Boom. All right. So wonderful. So we got all the way through here. Now we have something we can work with as we build out the rest of this. So here it's pretty straightforward. We have this edit fields node, last name. So how do we get the last name? The last name is derived from the original Telegram trigger right here. So you can do last name and then you can set the value, drag this here as that. And that's pretty much all we need because we are setting up a couple paths here where we want this to, we're going to have a switch node here. And this is going to go from, one path to the other path. So if you have multiple names in here, you can switch. So we'll show you how to do that. So you hit this, we've already done a switch node. So you should be pretty good with these now. So we're going to set up 2 nodes that we're going to switch on. So the first thing is we're going to pull in the last name here. So this is looking for the last name is equal to, and we'll go ahead and put my last name in here. We're going to rename this output. We're going to call it my last name. And what you would do is you would add another routing rule here, same exact thing, and you would just do a different last name. So maybe it's Johnson or something like that. And we'll call it Johnson. We're basically setting up a couple paths here. And if you have only a few people interacting with the bot, this makes sense. If you've got like 100 people using it, this is where you would do something a little bit different. We're not going to get into that because it's not good for this use case, but this works just fine for a few people. If you're getting more, you might use some kind of database or some other way to define who the owners are. That's that. So here we have the 2 paths, and we're just going to build out one of the 2 paths right now, and that's going to be mine because the other one is fictitious. So we're going to hit the plus button here, and we're going to do another set node here. And the set node is the ID in Notion that we need to map to, so it can set the owner. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this Notion name ID. and it's going to be a string. And I'm going to paste my ID in here. So what you do is you get your ID from Notion. I won't go into the details of that in this video, but there's a lot of information in there on how to get your ID of your username in Notion. So that's what you're going to do here. So I'm looking for anything that is my last name. This will be called Notion name ID, and that will be that ID. So now we've got that set. So this last part is adding Notion database to this. So this is where you're going to want to download the database and it's in the description, so you can access all of these files, but you're going to want to download the database for Notion. And when you download the database for Notion, you're going to set everything up in your Notion account, and you'll be able to find the information of that database through setting up your Notion credentials. So that's another thing we're not going to go into in this video. That's something you can definitely find out there. So when we're doing this, we're going to go and set up get a database page. Okay, not get a database. Make sure you don't do that. Make sure you get a database page. Okay, excuse me. Create a database page. Create, not get. Create a database page. We already have the database, and so we need to create a database page. So here you're going to set your credentials for the Notion account. So we use this one here, database page, create, and then I use select from list here, so I can choose the correct database that I am looking for here. This is the wrong account. Let me go to this one. Sorry. There we go. I'm going to choose database main. Now from here, I keep it, the title's blank here. I keep it as simplify. And here we're going to add a whole bunch of properties here. So we're going to start with this first property, and this is going to be idea. So here's idea. And what are we going to add from idea? Well, let's go ahead and execute the previous nodes here, and let's get caught up on this so we can basically map this a lot simpler. So I execute that one, I'm going to execute this one, I'm going to execute this one. So that's my ID. And now we have everything we need here. So for the idea one, so you're going to pretty much do everything that is in this code note here. This is where all the fun stuff's going to come from. So the idea here is the title. So this is the title of the idea. So you drag that in there. Next, you're going to do another property, and it's going to be the description and hook. So that is this one here. So we're going to drag this to text field here, and then we're going to go to the next one, which is going to be another property, and it's going to be status. So status, you can actually define as select here as whatever you want here, but I like to start mine out as idea. That's how the workflow's set up. So status is always going to be idea. So that means when this comes in, it will set it up. Okay. The next one is platform. So this is the one with the array. So we're going to find platform here. Where are you? There it is. All right. So it's asking for a select here. So this is all the different platforms. We're going to do an expression. So we're going to change this, and we're going to drag in the platform array here. Here you go. So there it's YouTube and Instagram. So that should choose the platforms for you. Next one, we're going to do another property. This is impact. There it is. Under impact, we have the variable here that was set before. It's right here. There's impact. We're going to do effort. Set that here, an expression. And then we're going to do relevance. Drag relevance there. And lastly, owner. So this is how you set the owner. And the owner is found in this field here, Notion name ID. So we need the ID here for the owner. So the ID, that sets it there. So that way when it comes in, it will automatically set the owner. Okay, so this is pretty much everything you got to set here. Just double check everything. We're going to go ahead and test this. Cross our fingers and hope it works. Let's go ahead and open the database first. Make sure we've got that ready. This is the kind of test database that I've been working on here with this project. And we're going to hit execute step. All right, so there it is. Play-Doh with dinosaurs for kids. All right, so there's the Play-Doh dinosaurs for kids. There's the owner. It's got our two platforms on there. The description. It has our formula for the iScore set up here. It set it as an idea in the idea stage. We have a priority scoring thing here. There's a whole bunch of more properties in here in this database if you want to track other things. But that is the detailed walkthrough on how to get all of this in. But there's actually one more step we have to do here. So now we've done all these things, and we need to add in one more Telegram send message. So the user on the other side gets a message back. So you do send text message. We want to make sure they get a message back that is confirming that has been placed in there. So here we're going to do your Telegram account. You're going to do resources message and send message. Now under chat ID, this is where we're going to go back to the Telegram trigger, and you're going to do chat ID. There you are. Okay, so it knows which chat to reference here. So under text, I'm going to just paste in the text that I want here. So this is in HTML, idea successfully added to Sprint board. Here's the title. So then we have the JSON name for the title, Play-Doh for dinosaurs. Here's the description, status not started, so on and so forth. You can put whatever you want in here. You can grab any of these variables to have that response, but that is what you're going to do there. We're going to add that innate and attribution thing. Let's turn that off. And then we're going to add another field here, which is parse mode. We did this before, but parse it as HTML. So that way this gets sent back as HTML. Let's go ahead and execute that step. And you can see I got a message there. All right, idea successfully added to Sprint board, Play-Doh dinosaurs for kids, so on and so forth. So that's the detailed walkthrough step by step on how to get this workflow set up from start to finish. So look, I had a ton of fun putting this workflow together and also then showcasing it here step by step on this video. So hopefully this helps you in some way. And I wanted to kind of think through this on a little bigger scale. And this is how I was thinking about this whole system when I built it. So if you were to just capture 3 ideas per week, that's 156 ideas per year. And if you can take 10% of those and they can become, you know, your next product idea, your next feature of your website, your next value stream for revenue, your next content idea for more engagement, just 10% of those ideas would be 15 new revenue streams or value streams or engagement streams, whatever you are into. And that is absolutely game changing. So this system should help you. It runs itself. And look, please comment. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I would love to answer them for you. And let's have a little bit of community in the comments. But I would love to hear if your next $1 million idea comes from this system. And again, templates in the description, and I will see you on the next video.